Hi everyone. I consider maybe this is a beer for the mind. I will try and get through these slides quickly. So if I press this button up and down, I'll see if they work. Did anyone read NTK? It ran from you see some people. That's good. It ran from about 1997 to 2007. Was it who was online in 1997? You see, the rest of you have an excuse. You went like this. So what I'm going to do, all these slides are on the website, and I'm going to take you through just some reminders of what the 90s were like. There is some strong language in the slides. You're probably not strangers to that sort of thing. But because this is being broadcast on the internet, I'm not going to read out the strong language. This is what a typical Need to Know newsletter looked like from '98. As you can see, it started off with a quote. This one, it was from the official website of Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, which again seems like an impossibly long time ago. If you did go there, it would say, blah, 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 go and sort yourself out with the newest version of Flash and Shockwave, or go and F off to another site, because I warn you, I'll do you some major effing damage if you come round here again. And obviously my humorous comment underneath is, it's not quite the download now button that Macromedia were hoping for in that sort of situation. I think here we go. This is an example from '97. I like this was me having a go at. Does anyone know the glossy games magazine Edge? Very important Edge. I think it's always been very clever. There was one that they were reporting on the Fin cyber pet, which was being developed by Fujitsu, I think. This was at the time of the Tamagotchi cyber pets and that sort of thing. This is just a small news story in Edge, but they say the Fujitsu are spending a ludicrous $70 billion on this, on developing this cyber pet. And clearly, someone had sent them a press release that had quoted 70 billion yen, which is a lot of money. But anyone who's familiar with the exchange rate knows it's not a and they printed this as $70 billion and at the same time put ludicrous next to it. So they knew it was ludicrous. But at the same time, how ludicrous is that? I pointed out it's approximately the gross national product of Portugal. At that time, as if the entire country of Portugal would have worked for a year, and then the government went, well, we could have spent it on hospitals and the army, that sort of thing. What about the Fin cyber pet? Anyway, so I enjoyed just pointing those sorts of. The other another nice bit of history there, slightly above that. I highlighted it. There's the Steve Jobs may stay on as CEO. So that prediction came true. Where NTK came from was, prior to that, this was something I did when I was at the Edinburgh Department of Artificial Intelligence. And this was a previous kind of email newsletter that me and my friends had called the Mighty Napkin Express, because we started writing it on a napkin in a restaurant. And it sounded like New Musical Express, obviously, hence the pun. I think this is the Christmas issue there with some joke that I'd got off the news groups about chestnuts roasting over open heat sinks. Prophetically, one of the later issues of this Mighty Napkin concluded with this news that one of the staff had been selected as a fire steward for the Department of Artificial Intelligence in Edinburgh. Has anyone been to the Edinburgh AI department recently? No, because it now looks like this. It did catch fire several years. I don't consider myself in any way responsible for that. It's almost as if some people did hypothesise. It's as if Edinburgh was going to have some Terminator-like breakthrough in artificial intelligence, and someone from the future had to come back and set fire to it. That's not the official policy. To their credit, and people would send us these funny sort of emails. For those of us who like working maybe in the office with headphones on, that sort of thing, clearly you can see here, this was in 2002. I think this is head of the department did email around everyone saying there is a fire in the Southbridge building. The alarm has gone off, but do leave the building if you're still just trying to get a compile. to work or something. So anyway, so that was the model that we then adapted for NTK, which, as I said, started in '97, was that people would just send in funny stuff, and we would run it. This and usually they'd be websites falling over in some way. The reason I've included this wasn't because Java developers were undervalued back in those days, but I particularly like the detail that it's in West Yorkshire. So if anyone knows that Monty Python Yorkshireman sketch, you can go, £0 per hour, luxury, when I were a lad, and so forth. And negotiable, we used to dream of a negotiable. This, and just a humorous misprint, this is from the film Polar Express, which they warn contains mild pearl. None of that extreme pearl. If you're wondering what mild pearl might look like, I think this is an O'Reilly publication coming up, where this is a pearl cookbook that has thoughtfully revealed some of their top secret recipes just at the top, where you could admire or whatever is going on at the top of that page. These were crude times as we look back on these, and this is what web pages look like as well. I'm sure many of you don't need reminding. I see them now as like cave paintings of a primitive kind, in that we can try and infer that maybe that thing on the left is supposed to be a book, and this thing at the top is trying to work out what page it came from. Anyway, and who's seen this video? Oh, no, show of hands. Maybe I'll show it at the end. This was our big breakthrough on NTK. I haven't loaded it up. Well, I'll see if there's time. Again, Steve Ballmer, who lasted so long at Microsoft, but certainly in my day, was famous for this video where he runs on stage, he bounces around for quite a long time, and then shouts, "I love this company!" Someone sent us that video, and I think what we did, we converted it from AVI to MPEG, and hosted it, and everyone went, "Oh, this is a phenomenon!" And most of our early subscribers, I think, came from that. Trying to move on from just printing up funny stuff that people sent in. We had ambitions towards being investigative journalists. This was a story that didn't need a lot of investigation. Again, back in the 90s, the newspapers would be full of internet sections, publishing bizarre stories that it was clear whoever had written them had thought, "Wow, this sounds fine. It's about computers." This was a piece claiming that Star Trek and Star Wars were to merge, and they'd be linked by the character of Ensign Obi, Dr. McCoy's son-in-law, played by Mark Hamill. Obviously, this was an April Fool when it originally ran on CNET, but the Guardian journalist said that he had checked the story with Paramount, and they did not deny it. So, why not? Why not? Yeah, that's perfect news. And of course, given the magnitude of Star Wars and Star Trek coming together, this was placed as the fourth most important item in the column, behind Pitfall. I don't remember what Pitfall Harry is. Heretic 2 and news of a new Tomb Raider sequel. So they had some, instead of putting that on the front page, I won't go into more details about that one. I'm not going to get into. Is people familiar with the work of Kevin Warwick, the professor of cybernetics at Reading University? He seems to have quietened down a little bit recently, but he was at Deconstruct in Brighton last week, so he's up to something. I mean, really, I think this is from the Mirror or the Sun. Looking at it, I think again, this is the early 2000s. This makes no sense at all. Tiny silicon chips implanted could soon imitate the effects of heroin or cocaine. The mafia has already bankrolled corrupt scientists to unleash this technology within 12 months. And I think this is Kevin Warwick making this warning. And the other thing I've highlighted here is that, of course, in the recent film Johnny Mnemonic, set in the year 2021, Keanu Reeves plays a courier who stores information in a microchip in his head. But that paragraph has nothing to do with the rest of the story. That's thrown in as if that's supporting evidence for Kevin Warwick's theories. We had a Kevin Warwick website that, again, I haven't got screenshots of. Occasionally we would get stories where we'd think, maybe we can actually get to the bottom of this. This was again, it's kind of self-explanatory. This was in the connected section featuring .com Telegraph, all lost to us now. British hackers attacked MOD satellite, and this was an amazing story where the hackers had found a cute way into the control system for a Ministry of Defence Skynet satellite, another Terminator reference, and changed the characteristics of channels. And this story just grew and grew in the telling. There were implications that they changed the orbit, that they could get the satellite kind of joyriding around the solar system like the Voyager probe. It was strange that, in fact, there was no evidence actually emerged that this had ever happened or would be possible. But nowadays, I don't know, who thinks you could take over a satellite from a ground station? See one, you see, there we go. I think the original claim, well, and this is the room to do it. So the people did point out at the top that that they say, I cannot see how it's possible for someone to do this. The satellite is a closed-loop system, not connected to the internet. So that's more reassuring. People weren't just kind of SSHing in. Anyway, and then this, finally, and it was staggering what the sorts of security stories that people would run. And I don't have a good screenshot of someone else doing this, someone else running this. This was an amazing story from, I think, yeah, again, 98, where some sort of an antivirus security conference, the Future Vision group said they had a self-healing server that used a UGEM generalization of Gödel's incompleteness theorem and partitioned any continuous NP complete problem into decidable and undecidable components, used some sort of quantum computing. So as someone was hacking into your server, their server would hack back into yours, and this sort of thing. This was run by the New Scientist, the LA Times, CNN, and these sorts of things. With very little, clearly it hasn't materialised. Obviously, that future would have been very different. I imagine this conference would have quite different sessions if any of this had materialised. The other thing I like here is when it was on Slashdot, any Slashdot readers? Great, Slashdot's still going. There were a lot of comments where people said, well, yeah, maybe this is a revolutionary new non-local computing and security implementation paradigm, but it won't affect me because I run Linux. Anyway, so there are many projects. There are many side projects that I won't go into. I'll mention briefly the bastard operator from hell. We ended up hosting for some reason that I can't remember. TV Go Home was was hosted for us. We weren't running a kind of Sealand offshore site for that kind of material. And I haven't mentioned Danny O'Brien. That's why I put this. It wasn't all me. I was actually kind of the entertainment editor of NTK, and Danny O'Brien, who was my colleague previously at Wired magazine, did a lot of the more serious technical content and politics. And he says here, what's happened to NTK? He says it's on semi-permanent holiday like King Arthur or Mark Andreessen. I don't know what Mark Andreessen is doing. Anyway, he moved to California and worked for the Electronic Frontier Foundation. NTK helped set up the Open Rights Group in the UK, which you might know about. And Danny's still at the EFF. So I'm not saying that's... There were many reasons why we stopped doing NTK, ultimately, because to a certain extent, maybe the Register was doing a lot of this sort of thing more professionally. But if you want to relive the good old days, Danny O'Brien is sending the old ones out, and he's called it Anno NTK, and I don't know why that is, but you can subscribe to it, and he puts some sort of explanation or disclaimer at the top. Realistically, I think NTK might still work as a newsletter. Anyone read the B3TA newsletter? Yeah, 2 people. It's good, isn't it? It's a bit like, and they admit they got the idea from NTK, and I, for my own part, in living in the past, so I have been tweeting what happened on this day in NTK 15 years ago. So you can follow me, you can follow that hashtag on Twitter. You can see highlights like pockets fishing sonar for Game Boy, the Apple Newton. The strange thing looking back on 1998, 15 years ago, is what an odd time it was. And so BT were launching the ISDN-based Home Highway. This is a pre-broadband era. It was the end of CU Amiga magazine stopped publishing. Babylon 5 was drawing to a disappointing conclusion, and again, it's just reading NTK from that era, you go, this is completely my fault. Mostly, I'm this was a time before people didn't know that MP3s were going to be called MP3s. In the early ones, I'm consistently referring to them as MPEG-3s, but that didn't seem to stick. And there's some very detailed speculation about whether Buffy the Vampire Slayer will be as good as Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So again, hindsight is terrifying in that respect. What I have done other things that I'm not going to list. I've done quite. Mostly, I've been working in the games industry since then. More recently, this is my Arduino-based software synthesizer. Any Arduino users in? Yeah, that's good. Any Raspberry Pi people? That's good. You see, a slightly different demographic. Contact me if you're doing anything with MIDI on the Raspberry Pi. This is my Arduino MIDI-based synthesizer. As you can see, it's got about 8 components, and you can find out more about that. That's called cheapsynth.com, and you can tweet me at Fake Dave Green, which I won't explain in any more detail. I think that's how are we doing for time? Any questions? Is the question, can we go to the pub? Do you want to see the Steve Ballmer video? Yeah. Oh, the horror! Well, think of a question that we can do before we play it up. Will the sound come out of here? I think so. Yeah.
We still have a sponsor presentation to do.
Oh, okay, that's good. Will the sponsor?
It's okay. They're not by themselves.
That's good. So this will come out here. All right. This is, let's see if it works. I built this up.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's
Steve
blank originally.
Ballmer!
Oh. He doesn't do this for the entire presentation. There isn't 20 minutes. Here we are. He's at the podium.
Who said sit down?
Who said sit down?
I got 4 words for you. I love this company. Yes!
Oh dear. So, I like to think, maybe Bill Gates was going, I don't know who should be CEO of Microsoft. This guy's very enthusiastic. So, anyway, please tweet me if you've got questions, unless you want to ask them now. No. And like, I'm hoping the sponsor is going to come on with that kind of...